Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about the Super League, right? We are going to be speaking on the Super League because on December 21st, that is going to be a key date as the European Court of Justice of the European Union will give its verdict on the Super League, meaning that there's a chance that this project might go forward with Real Madrid and Barcelona leading the helm. And the way that we are going to be formatting this video, I'll speak about what Gerard Pique had to say about this subject, and then later in the video, we're also going to be talking about how the Super League is structured and why these two clubs, Real Madrid and Barcelona, are so persistent on the Super League. Because I think that now it's time to have a refresher to understand what Barcelona and Real Madrid are trying to get into. And I know that there's always new people watching this channel, so it is going to be a refresher on the Super League. And then after that, I will give my honest opinions about the whole subject. So it is going to be Pique's opinion, my opinion, and again, you guys are going to be informed exactly what the Super League is all about. So if you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. I'm happy that you guys are here. If you guys are Barcelona fans, this is going to be the channel for you guys. And if you guys want to support my YouTube channel, please like this video and also subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. So like I've said, this is exactly what is going to go on December 21st. I'm going to repeat the whole thing. According to Sport, they have stated that on the 21st of December, this will be a key date as the European Court of Justice of the European Union will give its verdict on the Super League. If the ruling is in favor of the Super League, with Barcelona, Real Madrid, and A22 continuing to defend the project, the clubs will be entitled to a massive amounts of money, which could even practically wipe out Barcelona's entire debts. So this would be a huge win for Barcelona, right? For them to finally create the Super League, for other teams to join in. You guys already know just how much Barcelona have been struggling in the past 2 years, right? Because we can barely sign any players, or any players that we want to sign. It's just not there. Xavi Hernandez has no power as of now when it comes to like who he wants and who he wants to bring to the team, right? So you and me have talked about this in the past 2 years. Bringing in the Super League would just inject Barcelona like almost 250 million euros from the very beginning, before the tournament even starts. So this would be, again, a huge W. So now that we know this, right, now let's move on towards what Gerard Pique had to say about this subject. And this is what he said, and I quote, "Barcelona and Real Madrid will be forced to become public limited companies unless there is a Super League or the financial fair play is regulated. If nothing does change, this could happen in about 5 to 7 years." Then he continues to say, if you only compete in your national competition, it doesn't matter because you regulate it how you want and we all play with the same rules. But when you play international competitions, right, which is the Champions League, and there the teams are not regulated with the same rules, that is when the imbalance occurs. That is what makes Barcelona and Real Madrid wanting the Super League. So just to make this very simple, right, Piqué is basically saying, hey, you want to know the reason why Barcelona and Real Madrid want to create the Super League? That's because they know that their competition, like PSG, Man City, right, the rich clubs, Arsenal, all of these other clubs that can spend as much as they want, right? Chelsea also, they know, Barcelona and Real Madrid know that they can spend as much as they want without any regulation. They can spend 250 million euros in one summer. But when it comes to Barcelona and Real Madrid, they can barely spend like past 15 million euros. And Barcelona and Madrid don't like that, right? It kind of goes back to what we have always talked about with Javier Tebas. Javier Tebas is one of the main reasons why Barcelona and Real Madrid are so limited. He's saying that the reason why he's trying to regulate the financial fair play for Barcelona and Real Madrid is to play it safe, right? Because he wants to make this league continue to exist without having Barcelona and Real Madrid to go bankrupt. But I think that that is just false, right? It is just so false. If you want to promote your league, if you want your league to be the best and be better than the Premier League, and this is me talking to Javier Tebas, right? If you want your league to be better than the Premier League, you let Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, and any of those teams from La Liga to have better buying power, to bring in the best players in the world. Because if you don't, no one is going to be interested in La Liga. And then that is how the league diminishes. And so that is what Gerard Pique has been saying. He's saying this is why Barcelona and Real Madrid are just so angry, and why they want the Super League is because they want huge buying power. They don't like the fact that every time they go into the Champions League, they're facing against teams that spent 250 million euros about 2 or 3 months ago in the summer, while Barcelona and Real Madrid did almost little to nothing. And so creating the Super League, now you're going to be having a bunch of teams in that competition that have the same buying power. It is much more evenly matched. Then Gerard Pique continues to say, Barcelona is pulling levers, Real Madrid is also going into debt, but there will come a point in 3 to 4 to 5 to 7 years in which the club will not be able to pay the interest on the debt, and you will be forced to make Barcelona a sports limited company and Real Madrid, which may take a while, more because it is a little better better off economically. If it wants to continue competing in Europe, more of the same. Now, I know that Gerard Pique did seem a little contradicting in some of his statements because he also stated this to cope. I am against the Super League. The second tier teams would be left out and lose all of their value. A part of football, as we understand, would be destroyed. So Gerard Pique is saying, okay, this is why Barcelona and Real Madrid want the Super League, because it's going to benefit them and some other teams. But then he's also saying that he is against it. And I want to make one thing very clear. The reason why Gerard Pique is saying this is because he is a huge investor with Andorra. Andorra is a second division club, and it would make no sense for Gerard Pique to say, yes, I'm a pro Super League fan, I want the Super League to happen, and it just wouldn't make any sense, because if he said that, that's basically him saying, yeah, I don't care about the second tier teams, and I just think that they should be outcasted, because the most important teams in the world right now is Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Man City, and he is a investor with Andorra, and Andorra is going to be like, what the heck, like, you invested in us, but you also want to promote the Super League, and you think the Super League is a great idea? So it would make him have great tensions with a team that he is invested on. So that is why he's saying that. But I think that deep down in his heart, he thinks that this is going to be the right move. Just like me, I think that this is the correct move. But we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Now I do want to speak about the refresher, right? I want everybody here to understand how this whole thing is going to work. Now, not everything that I'm going to be talking about is 100% official, because this competition and its structure could change in the next 2 or 3 months because it is evolving. But this is what we do know as of now, starting with why Barcelona, Real Madrid, and other clubs want the Super League. Point number 1, financial gain. The clubs do anticipate that increasing the revenues from broadcasting rights, sponsorship deals, and more would help all of the clubs much more than where they're at right now. They don't have to cut their revenues with some other league or like some other partner. They don't have to do that. Barcelona and Real Madrid do not have to cut any money to the leagues. Everything will be flowing through them. And this does offer more financial stability because they're going to be getting much more funds, which leads towards point number 2. It gives them assured participation, right? There's no way that Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, maybe Man City, right? Those teams, they'll never get knocked out from this competition. And because of that, that is assured participation, meaning that there's also assured revenue. Moving on towards point number 3. They think that creating the Super League would cause more global appeal. Because, for example, can you imagine every weekend you hear Barcelona is going to be playing Man City, Barcelona is going to be playing Bayern Munich, Barcelona is going to be playing PSG, Barcelona is going to be playing Arsenal. Those are real big games that everybody's going to want to see. And then in the next weekend, we can see City versus Bayern, Bayern versus Real Madrid, Arsenal versus City, Arsenal versus Real Madrid, or PSG versus Bayern, or Bayern versus Manchester United. Big games in every weekend, which is why they believe that global appeal would be even bigger compared to what they have now. Like, in my opinion, I would love to see that, because I'm so tired of waiting 7 to 8 years just to see Barcelona face Real Madrid in the quarterfinals again, or to wait 5 to 8 years to see Barcelona go up against Bayern Munich in the semifinals. Like real talk, when was the last time we saw Barcelona go up against Man City in the Champions League? That was like back in 2017 or 2016. When was the last time we saw Barcelona face Real Madrid in the Champions League? That was in 2011. So why not bring this more consistently, which is the reason why teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid are pushing for this move, because everybody would love to see that. And imagine the amount of people and the amount of eyeballs they would be able to generate every weekend. And it does go full circle, right? Because when you have these big games happening every weekend, the Super League is going to generate such a big sponsorship deal that it is only going to bring stability. Like, there's going to be so many sponsors that are going to be saying, please sponsor our brand to the Super League, because of how many people are watching this competition happen. So those are the reasons why the clubs want to generate the Super League. Now moving on towards the structure of how the Super League is going to be working. So there is going to be a thing called founding clubs, meaning that, let's just say the originals come back. Arsenal, Juventus, Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and all of those teams, right? They come back and they're going to be permanent teams in the competition, right? They cannot be knocked out. They're forever going to stay there. But there's also going to be a thing called additional participating teams. So like maybe in the bottom 8 of this Super League, there's new teams coming in every season. So new teams are coming out and another new set of teams come in based off their results. It has also been stated that the proposed structure involved a league format where the participating clubs would compete against each other in a round-robin system or a similar league-style competition. This would likely involve each team playing a certain number of games against other participating clubs. So it's going to be depending on how those bottom teams do against the upper teams, right? The founding club. So if they do well, if they attract a certain amount of points, they will continue to be in the Super League and not get knocked out and get replaced by a different team that has been doing well outside of the Super League. So for example, right, this is only going to be an example. I'm not saying that this is the amount of teams that will be in the Super League, but let's just say, for example, Barcelona Barcelona first place, Real Madrid second place, third place Juventus, and then in the bottom you see Ajax, Everton, Brighton, and Sevilla. Out of those 4 teams, the Super League is going to be saying, okay, we have these 4 new teams that did come in at the beginning of the season, and this is how they have ended up. Ajax were the highest, then came Everton, then came Brighton, and Sevilla is all the way at the bottom of the table. The top 2 of those bottom teams can stay at the Super League, and the bottom 2 of those bottom 4 teams are going to be out, and we're going to trade them in for a different team. So most likely it's going to be looking something like that. So just to make it very clear, at the bottom of the Super League table, it's going to be open. You're going to be seeing brand new teams come in every season and brand new teams exiting the competition every season. But at the top, depending on how many teams are going to be permanent, they're just going to stay there. There's no way that they can get out of the Super League at all. So here's going to be my final thoughts. I think that this is the way to go. For me, as a Barcelona fan, this is the way to go. Like I have stated before in the video, I think that it is a great idea to always see Barcelona in top competitive competitions and to face Real Madrid, to face Juventus, to face Man City, Manchester United, Bayern Munich, PSG, Borussia Dortmund, right? So those top teams every weekend, it's going to be generating so many eyeballs. Everybody's going to want to see that. Like right now, right? Like Barcelona is in a group stage that not many people are paying attention to. Not many people are seeing Barcelona versus Porto. Not many people saw Barcelona versus Antwerp. Not many people saw Barcelona versus Shakhtar. No one is really interested in that. And Barcelona see that as a problem. They're saying, okay, like we're playing these games in the Champions League, and supposedly the Champions League is supposed to be like an elite competition, but no one is seeing our matches. We're gonna have, like, they're literally waiting until February to actually get a real opposition team. They have to wait until February to maybe face Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or Arsenal or City or United or Tottenham or Liverpool or any of those teams. They have to wait until February. But with the Super League, you start from the very beginning. The opening game could be Barcelona versus Manchester United or Barcelona versus Liverpool. Everybody would be excited. So I think that this is the way to go. I am so pro Super League. Now I understand why many would say I think that this is a bad idea because it's going to ruin the bottom teams. But I think that if the Super League is structured in a way where the bottom 6 is open and they have to fight for their spot in the bottom 6, and if they don't, the fact that they can get replaced by other teams out there in the domestic leagues, I think that is the way to go. Now I think that if you do everything permanent, like from top to bottom, like there's no way that these teams could leave at all, even from the bottom clubs of the Super League. Like I think that would be something crazy. That would be something that you just cannot do. But if you make the bottom 6 or bottom 10, I don't know how many teams Barcelona and Real Madrid want to introduce to the Super League. It could be like 30, it could be 40. But if they make the bottom 10 or 12 teams open, I'm really fine with that. Yes, do I think that this kills the Champions League competition? I think it does. I think it really, really does. And also the Champions League right now is not gaining a lot of eyeballs because of how the group stages are set and because of all of these random teams that we have to play against. But not just that, but they also want to add more games to the clubs. And I'm like, how many more games do these teams need to play? Like, I don't know why players like Pedri, Frankie, Koundé have to face 70 to 80 games per season. Introducing the Super League would be much more sustainable because you're fixing one of those 2 problems. Yes, it might seem like a lot of more games, but you are generating so much revenue that the clubs will have so much more power to bring in brand new players, and then you're not even going to have to worry about these players playing so many minutes because of how much buying power these clubs could have in the future. And so I really do hope that it ends up going through. I want Barcelona to be in the Super League, and I want the Super League to be created because I'm tired of Javier Tebas limiting us financially and we can't do anything. Like we can't do nothing. Like for example, I talked about this before in the previous video. If something ever happens to Koundé and Koundé is not happy at Barcelona, we want to be able to say, okay, we will replace you for a different player. Teams like Man City and PSG, they can do that. Teams like Arsenal and all those other teams, they can do that. But Barcelona and Real Madrid can't. Why can't we? And then we have to eventually face these teams in the Champions League. Why can't we have more power? Why can't we just all be even and to truly see who's the best team in the world? And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.